Okay. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Yes, that's the other voice you hear. You're used to hearing my voice. I'm Roger Carroll, and Mike Amici and I are doing this webinar together. And you are looking right now. The man in charge is going to be Mike Amici, and you're looking at his screen right now. So most of you are webinar veterans, and hopefully you don't have any issues to deal with. Again, welcome. We're talking, Mike's going to introduce everything. We've got a few minutes. We're waiting for some more people. We had 25 different people register for this current training. Now we're up to 28. I'm watching on another computer here. So generally, our webinar procedures are in play. If you have a question, use the question button. Or you can also raise your hand if you want to be recognized. And what usually will happen then is if you do raise your hand, I will send you a little chat message and ask if you have a question or try to resolve your issue behind the scenes. And if you have a question, depending on the topic that Mike is showing us, then we can bring that question right up or save it towards the end. Okay, and that's entirely up to you and what's going on. We now have 13 of our 28 have joined us. Good morning, everybody. A little different atmosphere for our webinars and our trainings. You've probably been attending Mike Amici and Phil Miano's trainings, and they use a little different tool called WebEx. And Gene and I, and in the district here, we are kind of, well, not say we're locked in, but we've been using GoToWebinar for so long, it was hard for us to change. So with Office 365 and the meetings tool, I think we're going to see more of that in the coming weeks and months, etc. So if you have any questions at the outset, let us know. We've got a couple more minutes before Mike will officially start. Mike, you got anything you want to add to any of our pre-talk here?
Not right now. I guess the only, like you said, if you have any questions before we get started, feel free to throw those in the questions or chat, and we can answer those before everyone gets on.
Yep, and I'll be looking in the chat to make sure that the questions are answered there, or monitoring the questions and chiming in where I feel like where I'm comfortable. Anyway, I'm relatively new to really using Teams. I've been studying it for actually a couple of years. I think very first introduction of Teams was in late 2017, and it wasn't a very friendly tool then. I think, Mike, you might remember that. A lot of things didn't work then, unfortunately, which soured people in
a lot of people
going to it. But I think they have a lot of that resolved, if not most of it.
Correct.
So here we are. Again, we've got another minute or two. And welcome again. A little different. There's a whole array of webinars going on the rest of this week. And you've got a number of emails on those. And there are some more today. There's another one, I think it's at 1:30 to 2:30 this afternoon. And as well as tomorrow and actually Thursday and Friday. I think they're going on all week. So you can pick and choose, and you're certainly more than welcome to do that. I'm looking for the schedule in front of me, and unfortunately it's not in front of me of when the rest of them are. I'll find it.
I can pull that up, Raj. I have it over here.
Yeah, that might be a good idea. And again, we're at the magic. It is 11:30, so Mike, I'm gonna turn the mic over to Mike and let him carry on. And again, Mike, I'll be watching for questions and things in the background. All right.
Okay. So good morning, everyone. As I know there's probably still people popping in here. So I'm just going to bring up the schedule for the rest of this week. This has been shared out, I believe, with you. So we are on level 7 today, Roger and I. And then Phil Miano will be on this afternoon. I'll be joining him there at 1:30 for level 8. And you can see the repeats of these sessions for the remainder of the week. And we'll be adding more, I believe, for next week. To start, we're going to look at our emergency remote learning continuum. This was created by Ed Maynard. It has been a great tool to use and follow along to know exactly where we're at in this time and how we're really monitoring our own learning as teachers. So we are doing level 7 today, the varsity team member, which incorporates all the skills from levels 4, 5, 6 and 7 really, or 6. So kind of going into this, you should have done a session on creating and receiving assignments, so that you should be fairly comfortable with it. If not, if you have a question about that, feel free to chime in. I ask a question and we can look at that. And we're going to get into talking about some sharing projects, and that can use through channels or the files. And then take a look at conference tools, and then getting into the team notebook, the base knowledge of it. The team notebook, that is really, I'll say OneNote, is a beast in itself. We're going to kind of just show you a few things with team notebook to talk about some stuff with it. May spend more time in there than the other areas. But with that being said, we're looking at possibly maybe creating more PD around the notebook piece, because it can become very confusing for you. We're going to try keeping it simple today for you with the team notebook. But again, feel free to raise your hand, throw a question up, and Raj can hop in and just let me know if we need to talk, revisit something I've showed. So I'm going to now sign into my teams. So we're going to go into our level 7 varsity team, and here we go. So Roger had pushed out an assignment here. This is something, and we could go back through if we need to revisit these, but what I want to do is I want to get the code up, and I want you to become a member of this class. And let me go here to manage teams, our settings, and team code. So if you can open up your teams, hop into Microsoft Teams, or write this code down where you can join later. But it'd be nice to have you in now, because when we do get into the OneNote, you'll see it as a student version and actually be able to type in it, and I'll be able to see what you're doing as well. So when you do get this code up top on the right-hand side of your main page of Teams, you're going to see join code. And I'll just toggle back over there real quick.
Yeah. Are they all, is that case sensitive, Mike?
Yes.
Okay. In other words, if it's lowercase, make sure you type lowercase.
So let's see if I can do this real quick. I'll bring that back up. So if I'm back on my home screen of my Teams, over on the right-hand side, it says join or create. When you click on join or create, that's where you'll be able to put that number in. It'll be a tile that says code. So I'll give it another minute. Roger, is there a way on here that you can type that code into the chat that teachers can go back to that to see it?
Yes, that's a good idea. I will do that right now.
Thank you.
Okay.
Are we all set?
And 8G5NJ9H, and that is in the chat for everybody. So you can leave that screen. Everybody has that now. That was a good
All
idea.
right, excellent. So back into my teams here. So with our teams, kind of talking, like starting out with some of this group projects. So I can see a lot of you have gotten in here. A lot of you starting to say good morning to all of you. This is the nice thing in level 5. We talked about these, or actually level 4 or 5, this whole post area. Right now, everything is open for the teachers to, or as you're a student, to be able to post here and make comments. Again, if this was that area where, hey, I have someone not being, being inappropriate, I can mute them where they cannot do this. So it's nice that you're able to play on this end as a student. So kind of getting into some of the group projects. Yesterday I had talked in level 5 about channels, and, or was it 6? I get them all confused right now. And when I create a new channel, I can create my channel and give it different names. I can call it by groups. I can call it by an assignment, by a project. It could be all open or it could be private. So if we're going to do, let's see, plant cells, I'm going to keep this open for everybody. So I'm going to click add. So this plant cells channel is available, and then teachers can, again, once this refreshes on your page and opens up, you're going to be able to have your conversation here regarding plant cells. Now I can come in here and bring files in. It might just be a delay. So I could create a new folder, and I could do this group 1. So if your students already know what groups they're in, this could be done that way. You could put their names on it. And then within here, I could add a new Word document, put in your assignment. So I could just, again, project, I'm just gonna say work collaboratively. And I'm gonna close that. So right now in group 2, you're gonna see there's that work collaboratively project. I could have directions, different things I'm having my students do, so that anybody that comes into this area, this could be where they could be working just on our plant cells. Again, to really keep it where students aren't seeing what everybody else is doing, if I add that channel, let's say this one's animal cells. I can then change this to private. And I saw chimed in on one, so if that's there, I remember seeing. So if I add these, only these 2 teachers or students per se in our class here will have access to this channel. So again, this could be my group 1, group 2, naming my channels. And if I start putting assignments here, the only 2 students that can access this channel would be Ed and Joanna. So that would be one way to do group work, where they're working collaboratively on those files, could have their own conversations, and you can hop in as a teacher to really have conversations with that group based on what they're doing. Could be another way to differentiate. So if you have some, working with students with reading, you could have your different reading groups. And here's where we're going to have the conversations with the 3 students or 4 that you're working with. So that is that possibility. And I know the other piece was that with communication and trying to conference with students. Right now, I know it's supposedly on hold, is having that meet now. So, you know, if you had your group where if I want to meet with Ed and Joanna, I could set up a meeting and do a meet now with them and schedule it. And this is where we could have some conferences or work on our reading together, whatever it is. So that is that one option of how I can communicate and collaborate and conference with my students. That other option, we've talked about it before, is that chat. And again, this chat is that private chat between you and whoever else is on the other end. If I'm doing this, again, I could create my 2 or 3 students that I really want to work with and have that collaboration piece with. I'm able to do that within that area. Okay. So now what I want to do, and this is the big bulk of our piece here. If we need more on that sharing projects, we can talk about this. I actually, you know what, the other piece I want to show you, I forgot, is we went over last time I did kind of a level set before we did it, was PowerPoint, where you could put a PowerPoint out and have students work on it collaboratively, and I'll do that. Conference tools, again, there's that. Video or chat is where I can really have those conferences with my students. And then we're going to get into that team notebook. But the other piece, so in my general, because I know everybody has access to this, or again, my plant channel, plant cells, if I'm doing, having each person tell me about a plant cell, I could add a file here. So if I have this here, and if I go to, actually, let me see if this will work. I did sign out of my BOCES, but it's still signed in with my computer. That's why. But if I went to, if I had a PowerPoint already created, I could have a PowerPoint that is created. I don't know what this is, but we'll bring it in. And when I bring this in, because it's in the file section, it means anybody could change this. So my PowerPoint that I have created, maybe this is where each student is going to work on their own slide. So I could have slide 1, you know, student A. I can just say duplicate. Slide 2 would be, so I could either put their numbers or tell them prior to in the directions, you know, each student has a number. Your number is 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. That's the slide you're working on. On the slide may be mitochondria, cell wall, whatever it is. They may have to find a picture, describe it. That way, each student's doing their own slide on a specific part of a cell, but everybody in the class is able to see that. So as they're learning, okay, what does the mitochondria do? They can see on, you know, maybe that's slide number 5, somebody else has mitochondria. They can look at, oh, that's what it looks like. This is the function, you know, so that's a way that the kids can learn from each other on a group project. And again, that just needs to be pushed into the files of our team. Whether it's in the channel here or my general channel and files here, okay? Also in the files here is the class material, so you will find some the emergency remote learning continuum and some fake students if you want to play around that way. And now I'm going to get into the class notebook. Now, the class notebook is a OneNote notebook. It is a beast in itself. Take it baby steps, play. There's a lot you can do with this. Create your own OneNote and play there first. When you have your teams, because you may have 4 or 5 teams that you are instructing, you actually have to go in and manually open up class notebook in each of those teams. But once they are open, you are able to share across notebooks. So when you open up this class notebook for the first time, it's going to make us set it up. So when I click set up notebook, I can create a blank notebook or from an existing notebook with content. I'm going to choose blank right now. In my OneNote notebook for class notebook, these are the areas I have. I have a collaboration space. In the collaboration space, students and the teacher can edit the content in that area. I have a content library. Only the teacher can edit that content. Students can view. The nice thing is the content that's there, the student could actually copy it and put it in their own notebook and make changes to it. So that's a way for them to grab something that you're working on and make changes. And then you have the student notebooks. The student notebooks are their own notebook. It's private to them. They can edit anything that's in their notebooks, and the teacher can edit anything that's in the student notebooks. And that's all within the one big giant 3-ring binder that's online. That's what I compare it to, a giant 3-ring binder. So I'm going to click next. Now, for my students, they get these tabs. These are their kind of tabs in their notebook. These are the defaults: handouts, class notes, homework, and quizzes. If I don't want all these, I can delete one. I can take it away. If I want to add a different section, or if I want to put quizzes back, I could have that back. If I don't want homework, because maybe I'm not going to have them do it or whatever it is, I'm just going to leave these as is, but I can also add more sections or take sections away. I can always add sections too once my notebook is created. So once I create this, my notebook is going to take a few minutes to get ready. Now, once this is ready, you will be able to access this notebook on your end as well. Right now, it's not there because I haven't created it. So it does take some time. So typically I would have this open if we're doing a training, but because I want you to go through the steps of seeing how it's set up, that's why it's taking a little bit of time. The other piece, when we do get back to that everyday use in the classroom, if you create a page and you share it to a student, don't do it as the class is starting. Depending on how many students there are, how busy your page is, it takes time to sync. So if you're running behind, like, oh, I forgot to do this assignment, I wanted to push this out to my students through OneNote, and you push it out and the bell rings, you want to get them started, their notebooks may be like this. It's waiting. It's waiting to create. I'm just going to do a little refresh here, see what happens. Here we go. So our notebook is ready. It means it should be ready on your end as well. Right now, I'm still in Teams, and you can see it's just kind of giving us a welcome page in Teams. And I click this little arrow here. This is my navigation panel. You see I have a welcome page, frequently asked questions about class notebook. All of this always pops in any notebook that you create. The nice thing is you can always right click on it, delete the page, right? Or if I don't want this whole welcome section, I can right click on it and delete this whole section right now.
Mike, I have a question.
Yes.
It's Roger. Now, we're looking at your screen. It says welcome, and all the students are listed there.
Yes.
Students will only see themselves. Is that correct? They won't see anybody else.
Correct.
Okay.
That is correct. So let's see. I don't know I know you were adding names. I'm going to guess maybe all these teachers are on right now. So like I'll say Dave Glahy, if he's on right now, Dave only sees his name and the content library, the collaboration space, and this welcome tab. Okay. So, and this is all default. These will come in. So when I go to collaboration space, these will come in. Again, this is by default. But notice here, what happened? Plant cells is there. That is from my channel that I had created. So your channels within Teams starts linking to your notebook. And then I have a content library where I can then add content. Now, for your students, they're going, or for yourself as a student, when you open this up, you can work right in Teams here. You can push this right out and almost go full screen. You're going to see on your home, or let me open, let's go new section. We're going to say practice. So here's my new practice section. And let's call it 5/6/2020. So here's my new page. So on this page, this is my home page. I have a clipboard, so if I have anything posted or pasted and saved there, any of my fonts I want to change, you can see you have all kinds of fonts that you're going to be able to select. Changing the size, highlights, so all this you're probably all pretty familiar with. Nice thing is, think about this as your smart notebook page that a lot of you have smart notebook on your computer. This is a wide open page. Wherever I click, I can start typing. And I can drag and rearrange and move things in whatever order I'd like. I could start a page like here and say, and I can even bring in this little to do. So today's notes, to do. Take attendance. So I can create this to-do list. What's important? So I can start tagging things for my students, or they can tag different things within this to-do. They also have this dictate, and you through all the other sessions you may have been in, you may have seen dictate, and you can change the language. So when I do this, it will start talking and typing for me. Let's see, is it working? Yep, there we go. So you can multitask, speak what you want to be able to do, and maybe read from another page. So maybe you're reading and recording a passage for your students. You gotta remember to put period. Stop that. So again, this makes it easier for you, your students, special ed students, having that nice feature there. And I can kind of then go into insert. Here I can insert a table. It's going to come right in. I can move it around, drag, drop, whatever it is I want to do with it. I can type in it. Whatever I want to do with this table. I can bring in files. So I can insert a file. I can insert that file as an attachment or insert it as a printout. So if I do an attachment, choose. Now, again, because I'm on my BOCES computer, I'm logged into my BOCES computer with my BOCES email. It's accessing my BOCES OneDrive. This is not my Niagara Falls OneDrive, even though I'm in my Niagara Falls team account. So you should end up linking where everything you have in your drive will be here. So if I bring in whatever this document is and I insert it, it'll be an inserted doc where my students will be able to download this. This isn't where they're going to be able to open this up and start writing in it. They would download this. If I want to bring in a file printout, I will have that printout of the emergency remote plan. So this could be its whole page. So again, I could bring a PDF in like this. My students can then type on this, write on this. They can. It's layered, so to be above it. I can also lock this, and I'll show you that in a little bit. Just gonna add another page here, just so it's a little neater. So I click down here. Again, pictures from a file, camera, online. I can add a link. Again, going back to audio, I have my math symbols for my math folks. If I do, let me just do this real quick. I'm going to draw it. So my draw tool. I don't know, we'll see if this will work. I'm not a math person, but what I'm going to do is I can then select my math tool here. This can be on or off. And I could say ink to math. Let's see, is it, I think it's at, why, there it goes. So I can say ink to math. It's only doing that one.
Do you have to lasso that with that little
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It's
over there
I
there,
should,
right there. That should do it. Right?
yeah, should be able to do it. I don't know why I'm not getting the lasso like I usually get. So what's happening here? I'll show you that when I like working in another area, not in Teams with this. So I'll show you in a different area. Sorry about that. Go back another page. And so then again, my view, immersive readers in here. I can have different panes. Reading view, if I want to change the color, who are the authors. I do have help, so if you do have questions. And then here in my class notebook, I'm able to distribute a page. So if I want this page here distributed to my students, I can say distribute to either my individual students or distribute page or a group of, group distribution. So I can say it's going group distribution. And I can create a new group. And I can select a new group students. So if I want to differentiate, and this is going to my like a reading group, I can have my groups that way. If I do individual distribution, I can differentiate and just say, okay, these students are getting it, or I can have all my students, who is it going to be everybody that's in my class? So I can do it that way. Or I just say distribute the page, and then it's going, well, who's going to get it this way? So if I'm going to say everybody's going to get this, so I don't want to click all those in individual, I could just say, oh, the individual is going to be students. If I want to do it this way, I can say, well, this is class notes. So it's going to go to this section. And I'm going to click distribute. So I distributed that to my students, so you can see it's waiting to start. So if I'm, like I said earlier, if I'm doing something like this, I don't want to do this right as class starts because it may take a long time depending on how many students are there. So these are things that you want to try to make sure maybe the night before or first thing in the morning before school starts, I'm going to distribute everything. So if you get in, school early, you can do that. So what's going to happen is this is going to distribute to my all my students, and where that will end up showing up is when I open up a student's name. So if I open up Amanda here, let me go back so you can see my screen better. Close that. So if I go to Amanda, and this was distributed as class notes. So when I open up class notes, here's the 5-6 notes page. Here's what we just distributed. So now if Amanda's on, Amanda could come in here and she could start typing, highlighting, she can go in here and make changes or do things on top of this document. Roger, do we have any questions right now?
There were just a couple questions. One about your.
I see Ed we want to get everybody into their notebook here.
Yeah, it was about you having two different BOCES OneDrives. And the way I explain, you have two because you work for BOCES in other districts, but you're also working with Niagara Falls here. And so you also have a OneDrive associated here in Niagara Falls.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
We only have the one. It does say Erie 1 BOCES when we look at our OneDrive, but that's because that's where our account actually resides.
It's coming through, correct.
Right.
So hopefully everybody will give it a few minutes, so I know to give it a little bit of time. So you guys should be able to, once you had that code, kind of click into class notebook and open it up there. And I'll give you a minute. And while you're doing that, you're also going to notice this open in browser or app. So my class notebook that I currently have right now, I'm working right within Teams. I don't really have to go out to the browser app, but by doing that, I can see a couple different things. And those will be definitely where we need future training to clarify a lot of things with the app and 16. But I'll give you a minute here to get into the notebook. Let me see if I can move this bar. So as you're getting this set, just want to show you in class notebook here. When I click on this class notebook, I have a settings. Actually, is this the one I want? And this already might be set for me. Oh. Let me go back here. Sorry, I want the 3 dots. I want manage notebook. So I'm in the 3 dots in my Teams, and I click on the 3 dots for manage notebook. In the manage notebook, and this is where you could rename your files, your student folders, I guess. But you also have add a teacher section. So right now there's not an added teacher section on here. So the add teacher only section allows the teacher in this notebook to have her or his own section that the students cannot see. Maybe that's where I'm going to start making notes, regarding students, or putting my grades, or if I have like a whole other section that I like to keep track of what's happening and you're going to do it in that section, you can turn that on. And the other piece that's not on right now is the collaboration space. So I can unlock that collaboration space where, or maybe it was unlocked. So it should be unlocked. I think it was unlocked. I get confused again with this one. I'm going back and forth because they've changed it a few times. So that should be open because that's where it linked right to my plant cells. You can also then see a link right to your notebook. So hopefully everybody was able to get into their notebook. And if you go to your page that was called class notes, you should then be able to type on that page. And I'm actually going to open it up in the browser. just so you can see a larger view of this. So now when I open this up in the browser, it's a little bit easier for you to see. I now have all my students going down the left-hand side of my screen. And if this is my class and I have this many students to look and grade papers, I don't need to go through and open up each page to find this. What I'm able to do is when I go to class notebook, I can review student work. And I know that work was called handouts. I think, right? Is that where I put that? No, handouts. No, I said it's class notes, sorry. Class notes. So when I go to class notes, click next. Here's my assignment. Now here are my students. So I could open up Raquel's. And I can see if she added or did any changes on here. And I can go on to my next student. And if I move this little bar, so I'm able to go through and see my students' work without having to open up each section. This is also a great way just to share, PDF files, any handouts that you have. I worked with a few teachers that said, I don't want to make, a 10-page copy for 100 students. Half of them end up losing it. You can share that 10-page copy here, and then the students have this as an electronic version. They will always have it. There's no, I lost it, especially when you share it under like your content library. So if I go to content library and I add a page here, I can add, again, insert file printout. Oops. Just keep so this could be again a whole packet for my students to be working with. Now,
Mike, I have a question.
Yes.
You said open in browser. When you went back to that point, what's the advantage to doing that? Was that just for our benefit in the webinar? We get more of your screen? Because when you go to open in browser, there's also open in app option, I think.
Yeah, so open in browser, it does make it, I think, easier to see. It kind of pulls it out of Teams. It still syncs to Teams. So anything I do will sync back to the Teams. But I also will have a few added features, some more things I can do in the different programs for, say, let's say the browser.
We talked about that. I just didn't know, basically open in the browser. It's totally transparent to the content being synced back and forth, etc. Correct?
Yes. But yeah, it all syncs. Let's see if I can get this to work now.
Motion detected at the front door.
Because the way we have, so I could say ink. Now I can evaluate my equation. So these are, so I'm in that math setting. So again, for the math teachers, you can see that I could drag this over here. I could show steps, solution steps. So this would be a great tutorial or a great piece for your students to have on maybe helping them practice, or are you creating something that's going to go, here's the steps, where you're not having to retype and create everything. You know, once you have that on, you can turn that off. So you can have the students be able to do these types of activities or not. So, you know, this is something that you can do. You know, turn on or off.
Can I point out another feature here, Mike? Is that
Yes.
immersive reader? And I think this is a really powerful piece in OneNote in the Math Assist. That over on the right there, you're looking at this. Indicate you want to see the solution steps, but that can actually be read step at a time back to the student.
Correct.
In a male or a female voice, but it's very good. So if the student closed their eyes or whatever, they would hear directions for each step of the solving or whatever you choose to do with the equation, whether it's just simply evaluated or whatever. But that's really very powerful.
Correct. And again, this content for the teachers out there, anything that you type in can work with Immersive Reader. If I bring a PDF in or a picture, it will not work that way. But here, as I'm doing this content, so if you're in your notebook right now and you go to using content and you're going to see the math, you're going to be able to view this, but you're not able to do anything with this. And again, I can go back to the class notebook and distribute this page. And it's going to say, where do I want to distribute? Well, we're doing classwork now, right? Or maybe this is going to be homework. So let's just say homework that you're going to have to solve some of these problems. I have to change my screen resolution here. Distribute. So now that is going to then go to all of my students, and that's going to go into their homework section. So yeah, it's nice to be able to have everything here. It works well on the phone. So a lot of students will use the phone. And you know, it's always at your fingertips. And I think it's nice that you can always have everything saved. So both the computer and phone is phenomenal. And let me blow this back up. So as that's distributing, you're going to see, so if I open up April's and I go to April's homework, there's her math homework. Now, if April is on, is April there? Is April here today? April, if you're on, can you just click over on the screen if you're in here and then just type, say hello maybe on this? Or I know Ed, is it Ed still on?
I can open April. I can open your mic. April's here. April,
Okay.
Can you hear us?
I'm here.
Okay, are you following what Mike is asking you to do?
Yes.
So if you open up your
screen is blank right now.
okay. Let's see. Is Dave Glahey on?
I'll turn off April's mic and Dave, you want to turn? You might be on.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, there you are. Thank you.
Yeah, Dave, are you able to get to this notebook?
So I'm in the notebook, and I think you distributed it to the homework page, you said?
Yes.
It just hasn't arrived yet, so I'm refreshing
so it's
just to see.
Yeah.
And I, having done this myself, I know sometimes it's a little
Takes
it's
a
a
little
little
time.
slow, especially
I'm looking
depending
out
on
my
the number
window,
of students
Dave.
you
It's
have.
on
So
down the street now.
yeah.
Yeah. So
traveling, right?
that's probably why
Yeah.
the sorry, April's probably was blank too. It's just probably that loading feature. And again, that's where things that I want to do right away might not happen, especially when I'm distributing it to 25, 30 students here. It can take a little bit longer for that to show up in their pages. So again, thinking about that, like don't expect it to be there right away for your students to just open right up and continue to working. Remotely, this is awesome because you can create it, send it, and by the time they get it, it's going to be there for them. So that's going to be nice. Roger also made a comment about the app. So right now I'm in the browser, so I'm working online. But there is an app. So everybody who is on, if they're not on a Chromebook for say, because you could do something like this online. But if you have a Windows, regular computer with Windows, you can then open up in the Windows app. Now, this is something that I had open up on another page, but you can see now it's kind of syncing and looking for this notebook for me. So it may take a minute, but what it's going to do is then open up that Teams notebook that we had just created that I have all of you in. Now it's going to put it in the app for me, which is on my computer. So as you are becoming comfortable with this, you may want to just work out of your app and not really have to go to Teams unless you're pushing out an assignment right in Teams, and you would do that. But if you're just going, okay, I'm going to give these pages, I want to add this, I want to do this right within my notebook, I can just do it right from my desktop, right, opening the app. So you can see everything's syncing right now. It may take a long time just because of how many students that's happening right now. So I'm just going to just close this file. So as I come back here, we're again on the I'm in the browser version. And if I go to Dave's homework, so it's there, but it just might not, yeah, no content yet. So Dave's is just, could be just that syncing issue. It's just taking time with all the students that are on.
Mike, I have a quick question, two quick questions here.
Yep.
The program is asking me how I want to open, and it's three choices. I think that's in reference, I'm not exactly sure, of the app or the browser. In fact,
So they can open in the app or browser, their choice. So you can click either app or browser. I said the app is going to, when I open up, I'm going to show you on my screen here. This is what the app looks like. So it's going to be the OneNote for Windows 10 is the app. If you're in the browser, it's just going to be opening up in Edge or Google, wherever browser you're in, it opens up that way. And then you're going to notice I have another OneNote, and that's a client version. We don't need to spend much time there right now. But the app is what is syncing right now on my computer. So it's still syncing this app. So it's taking, I know it might be hard to see, but I can see here level 7 varsity team is starting to populate, so I have the title here, but it's just adding all the students in right now.
another question,
Yes.
a more general question is, can you create a master notebook, then share things to different class notebooks?
Yes. So if I come over here to my notebook, so again, I'm online, I'm in the online version. I have this master online PD. So I've kind of I have all these notebooks, but I was working with a Spanish teacher saying, hey, create a class. Like I could either create a notebook and here's, I don't want to confuse people. OneNote, if you create a master OneNote, it should be able to distribute to any notebook, class notebook and Teams. That's what they say. I have run into issues and other people have run into issues with that. So what I have told teachers when I have worked with them is to create a new class notebook, not within Teams, but when it says class notebook, you create a new class notebook and you just don't need to add students. And that's what I've done here for this master class. So I can create this here. And then if I want to share this tip sheet, I can go to class notebook, distribute this page, and distribute across notebook distribution. Now, here's that, again, that piece between me, my two BOCES accounts, my Niagara Falls account and my Erie One BOCES. It does get a little confusing. But so since I'm in here, now I have my Varsity team notebook, I can actually share this tip sheet to that notebook and click next. Where am I sharing it to? These are going to be, let's say, handouts. And again, I got to change my screen to distribute. This is handouts. I distribute. And what should happen is this PDF of Microsoft Teams little quick user guide will end up going to handouts. We'll give it a minute. So we'll start seeing it populate. Should show up underneath. Just gonna do a quick little refresh here. Open up Amanda's handouts. It's just taking some time. So while that's loading, I'm gonna go back to my app is open now. So with my app, you can see it looks a little different. It's not as, I think sometimes it looks not as busy. I think it looks a little cleaner, neater. And then I can go to my class notebook on how I can distribute my pages. Sorry for the dog barking in back. When I'm in my app, for example, if I go back up to, so this piece here I brought in. So this document now I can move. But if I wanted the students to, again, label, to do things on here, when I'm in the app, which I cannot do this in the class notebook and Teams or online right now, those are things that are currently should be going that way, but it may never happen. It may just stay in the app. But if I right click on this, and of course it's not doing it, hold on, right click, I can click on picture and I can set as a background. Now this will not move. So now my students could come in here, click, type Teams, do a drag. Let me drag. For whatever reason, it just wants to go there on me today. I don't know if it's because I'm in the sharing the screen, but I should be able to type and drag and put wherever I want. Oh, I know why. It wants me to put a name in here first. I think Teams. do it above, that could be it. I can then drag and drop. So if you do have that PDF with fill in the blanks, it may have to be where the students have to click off. And then drag and drop. And they can select a highlighter. Oh, it's just gonna let me do that. Maybe it's because it's a picture, not my Word document or PDF. But I can, it is PDF. I can usually highlight over, whatever reason today, it's not working that way. And again, I can do my recordings on these. So this is just on the app version. I can set that as a background. Also in the app version, under view, I have line paper or graph paper. And I can set that up. Now, because I did this in the app version, I'm just gonna go back to Teams real quick. Go in our Teams, and go to Class Notebook in Teams. So there's that. There's the math. And once it starts syncing, that graph paper will also populate in this team. So that's a way to change your paper and styles. I can change the color of the paper as well. So it's just syncing still. Any questions that we have out there?
Let me double check. Some general, my choices are OneNote. This is for the our earlier discussion, I think it is, Mike. My choices are OneNote, OneNote 2016, or the app.
Yes.
The one that's going away, if I'm correct, if I recall, is the one that says OneNote 216.
Yeah, so right now the client version is the OneNote 2016. That's the client. Microsoft has said they were not going to continue to support that. But it also right now has features that the app and online does not have. Again, there's a notes page, so I can have class notes, a section there. So those are things that you can do in the 16 version that you can't do on the app or client version right now. So a lot of times it's easier to start online, create your new masterclass notebook, practice there, practice in your practice teams, get used to playing in your practice team, or make your own notebook that you're not using with students yet, and go that route to really practice and play, to become comfortable with this.
And as I recall earlier today when we were talking about this very topic, that the OneNote 216, you know you're in it because all of your pages and sections are on the right side of the screen for navigation. That's correct understanding. Yes, Mike?
Correct. And
okay.
Now mine's in both season. I don't want to change anything with the
Right.
syncing.
But that's what we're looking at now.
But this is my, so when I look here, everything's going to show up on my right side of my screen. So it's definitely going to look different. And here's, and if I'm in a class notebook, which this is, my students then are across the top. So I would have to see their folders this way. So
it's all there in a slightly different location.
Correct.
For navigation. Yeah.
Yeah. And the only, like I really don't use this, the 16 version, and I don't know if I'd really recommend you using it. But you can see there are some more features, video recording. So right now I'm thinking this is going to go into the app at some point. It's not there yet.
Yeah, I think the eventual destination is it will all and only be one.
Correct. So
The app maybe for ease of access, but really it's going to be all one at some point.
yeah, so right now, you know, start in the team, start in your online, get practicing with this stuff. Look at all the different features that you can do, and play with, of adding video links, everything like that. It will all sync together, so you won't have an issue syncing. Like the one question came in, yeah, create a master notebook. And to do that, again, I could go.
That's the last question we got here.
Yeah.
Is there a way to set up a lesson and play around with it to see how it would look before putting it out to the students? And I think that's what you're saying, as a playground.
Yeah. So they could in their teams. Let me go back to this team. So if I go back to the teams and file, so you're right now in the level 7 class, you can go to the file here. Here's some fake students. So Ed has created this, so you have some fake students in here. Grab a fake student, sign in. You know, I want to be Peter Parker. You know, by the end of the day, you'll be Spider-Man, but take Peter Parker. Sign in. Here's his password, and then play as Peter Parker in the team. Assign something through this, you know, your notebook. So you could add them, not here, because here you are right now a student, you are not a teacher. So create a practice class.
Yeah.
Sign
And
in with.
we didn't really even touch on assignments.
Well, it was projects. I mean, we didn't touch on assigning assignments here, no.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be, we
We're
did
pushing our
assignments
time limit
before.
here.
Yeah. Yeah, the level 6 was the assignments. But when you did that, that's where you could, from existing, and if I add, oops, just real quick to add that resource, here's my OneNote, class notebook. So that's, again, where am I assigning it? It's grabbing it from content library. Here's my teacher only. So those are from that level 6, getting into that. So again, it's a lot. I was trying to keep it simple.
I think we need.
Take another level 7. I know Ed's redoing it on Friday. Hearing these over and over only help you, because you do hear when, whether it's Phil, Roger, Gene, myself, or Ed are presenting. Sometimes we'll forget to say something, and then the other person will say it, and like, oh yeah, I forgot, I never said that the last time. So I highly recommend, especially with this, when you get into this class notebook section, really hop in these as much as possible. And I know, and just before we exit out, that where that person, I don't know who it was, who asked about that master notebook. When you're on your teams here, you create class notebook, and you just, it's going to ask for a title, right? And you just say Science Master, right? So whatever you want it to be. Next, all your sections are going to stay the same. You don't need to do anything there. Next, now you're all set. Here's your notebook's going to start, and you just have to create it. And then that's where you can practice and play. Delete pages, add pages. So you're, you know, and then bring a student in. If you want to add a student, add that demo student, try it out. If you need that help, again, feel free to reach out to any one of us, Ed, myself, Gene, Roger, Phil. We're all here to assist you to get comfortable with this. We know it is a lot, and you guys have been doing a phenomenal job.
One last question, Mike. The page that you sent out, this is from Dave, the page you sent out got pushed to him. So he should be able, that is you, the teacher, you should be able to see what he, David, the student, added to that page. That is correct, is it not?
Yes. So I can see here, so Dave said, Mr. Meany, can I use X or a dot to show multiplication? So he rewrote all this out. So I'm able to see this. I can respond, or the nice thing is that insert, I can give them that, nice sticker.
You can also add your voice, can you not,
Yes.
when you respond?
Yep. So I can, put that little sticker in for Dave. An audio note. Dave, great job. Keep up the good work. I like how hard you're working. Definitely keep up the after school support that we've been doing. It's really paying off. And have the little audio note for Dave.
Yeah. If you ever get out of detention.
Yeah. So yeah, there's again a lot to play. Just really, I highly recommend just playing and getting comfortable with this. Don't worry about doing a lot of assignments here just yet. I think staying in teams with the Word, PowerPoint, keeping the forms through Teams will make it easier, and then gently move into the notebook. I know some teachers are already out there using notebook and are really comfortable with it because they've been using it most of the year. If you're not there yet, don't rush into it.
I think we need we're at level 7, the varsity team, but maybe we're not in the starting 11 yet. We made the team. Right now we're in practice, getting ready for the season, which is, next year or coming up, maybe late. We want to try this out. But I think a whole session on assignments and working with the rubrics and pushing it out would be worth thinking about as a level 7.5 or varsity team preseason or something like that in our metaphor to work with that.
Agreed. So, well, are there any more questions? I know we went over.
We're a couple minutes, but I think everybody pretty much is with it. I'm going to look one more time. We've got, I think we answered everything either directly or because we were answering another question with that. As Mike is saying, please respond to us via email. Look for the further trainings. Level 7 is going to be repeated again. It will be myself and Ed Maynard, and that's going to be on Friday afternoon. But there's a lot of stuff going on. There's a level 6 Friday morning as well. There's a level 8, and that's this afternoon at 1:30. You can jump in on Phil and pester him with some more questions and things. This is a nice continuum, and I think really that the questions we're getting show a greater understanding of people knowing what they want to be able to do and how to manage it. So I think we've done a nice job here. And if we didn't get to your questions, I see some more coming in here. We will get to them and repeat them. I'm not sure there's a follow-up survey. If there is, I forgot how this was set up. You could get to us there, but please, Arthur, send me that and I'll share it with Mike, or send it to both of us, and I'll share it and we'll get back to you as well. Okay. Anything else, Mike?
No, that's it. Thank you very much. And again, reach out to us as needed. Have a good day.
Stay safe, everybody. Use that hand sanitizer. Don't drink it. Use it on your hands. And we'll see you next time around in one of the other webinars. Thank you again very much for attending, and stay safe.
All right. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Mike. Great job.
Bye. Thanks.
You're welcome.